Hello, and welcome to the Gaia update for the Aries new moon that happens on March 24th, 2020. I'm Adrienne Elise. Well, we are in one of the most powerful and potent times of our lifetime. Can you feel it? And this is a powerful culmination that happens for this Aries new moon because we have Mars, Jupiter, and Pluto very close together in Capricorn. So for the day of this new moon that happens at early in the morning on the 24th. So most in my time zone in the Western US, so most of the world, it happens on the 24th. And so on this day, we have Mars at 24 degrees, exactly conjunct Pluto at 24, and then Jupiter just 1 degree behind at 23 degrees Capricorn. And we've talked about the power of these planets coming together. Mars, action, warrior, change, movement, and Jupiter, expansion, the light, the possibility, the opportunities, and Pluto, breakdown. And in the sign of Capricorn, the structures of our world. So this is the structures of our mental concepts individually, the structures of our belief system and programming and the collective consciousness, the structures of our world, say financial, educational, health, spiritual, religious. All of these things are up for review. So in our individual life, a breakdown of what we thought was true for ourselves, what we thought supported us. Now, all of this has to do, the breakdown isn't just a breakdown, it's a breakthrough, because we are having, what this is really about is ascension energies, light coming in, and we're in a healing, cleansing crisis where for a long time, the structures of our world have not fit or supported who we really are in our consciousness on this planet. And now we've got to have that breakdown. Looks like a breakdown, actually a breakthrough. So really intense and powerful times. And of course, these souls that follow this work are being called to stand in that light, to be present with the bigger picture, what's happening, even though we don't understand what that is. We can sense and feel and know that we've had lifetimes of experience and whole evolutions and experience in our, raising in with spiritual ascension before, and some part of you knows it's all going to be okay, even though our world seems to be falling apart and fraying at the seams. That's kind of a necessary part of the process, the healing crisis. In a true healing experience, there's always a presentation of old symptoms, and we are just like cleansing and purifying what's been hidden in the dark. And so these souls that are sensitive to collective energies, on the one hand, feeling this really intense fear and panic and hysteria energy, on the other hand, this incredible expansive light that's coming in. And so we talked about how the negative control energies, the control, trying to keep this evolution back for so many thousands of years. Of course, this bioweapon pandemic energy has been planned for a long time, and the release of this is at a very crucial time when we're having this influx of light. And so those souls that are sensitive to collective energy are being asked to hold space for this light. Be this marker, this grounded force for your community of holding the space for what's really trying to happen, which is beautiful spiritual evolution, finally moving forward from where we've been stuck for a very long time. And that means disruption in the systems of our world. And yet, can you do your part in holding space in where you've been so overloaded with collective energies? Now it's time for you to understand you also have the power to affect collective energies by holding in that heart space, that knowing, that peace, and allowing yourself to enjoy these big, expansive spiritual energies. This is a once-in-a-lifetime experience for us to allow these energies into our life and experience on another level. Let all of that go on, but let yourself experience these ascension energies and receive them and experience the joy and the light that's trying to come in, and giving yourself permission for that. And so much of that has to do with this Uranus and Taurus in sextile to the north node of the moon. And so we'll still be feeling this for, for this new moon. And this is a powerful energy because Mercury is now coming into the mix after it's gone over that Pisces Aquarius cusp 3 different times. Now, in this journey that Mercury retrograde took, and Mercury comes out of its retrograde shadow on the 29th or the 30th, I believe. So we're going to be kind of waking up out of this weird place we've been in, I think, around then. And right now we need to just be as present as we can in the present moment and with the light that's coming in. But so the reason why what's so potent about this new moon is, of course, Mars, Jupiter, Pluto, and Capricorn together. It's like, so epic and so powerful. Divine masculine activation, the part of ourselves that can stand up for what's right and good and true, the part of us that can protect ourselves with boundaries and say no to the lower energies, finally have the strength to discriminate and take care of yourself and protect yourself in the sensitive, beautiful soul that you are, and all you've gone through and done to be able to be present on the earth in this way at this time, arriving home to your more optimal timeline, your destiny, and the feeling of being at the right place at the right time, doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing right here, right now in these energies. So with Mercury coming into the mix, we've been feeling this exact sextile of Uranus in Taurus and sextile the North Node in Cancer. This is a radical shift in our self-worth that's required to move forward. Exactly what I was just talking about, valuing who you are as a soul. We've been waiting around and being surrounded by lower vibrational energies, keeping us from our soul purpose for lifetimes, telling us who we were. That was kind of like not welcome here, flailing, not able to function in this reality, less than, and now being like, wait a minute, I've really got what it takes to be present in this energy, and that radical shift in that self-worth. And now Mercury coming into that mix, because Mercury in this retrograde has had 3 trines to the North Node and 3 sextiles to of course, that means sextile to the South Node, but then 3 sextiles to Uranus. Those didn't happen exactly at the same time, though. Now it's all lining up to happen at the same time. And so on the third and final pass of these types of things, when a planet does a retrograde, the third and final pass is when you get the message, when you get the gift of it. And this really is about the gift. This is about our inner treasures being excavated. That breakdown is really that breakthrough into our inner treasures, that Uranus and Taurus, revealing the power we have in our consciousness, and especially these souls and all you've gone through to be able to be present in these times and hold space for this spiritual ascension. So, we've got Mercury in exact sextile to Uranus. Mercury will be at 5 degrees of Pisces. Uranus is still at 4. The North Node is also at 4 and moving to 3. So that happens on the 22nd. The North Node, or the 24th, the North Node moves to 3 degrees. So these are like ships passing in the night. Uranus moving forward, now Mercury moving forward. And it's like these trines and sextiles are like ding, 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 little harmonious chimes, And how beautiful is it that Uranus sextile the North Node, trine the South Node. Mercury sextile Uranus, sextile the South Node, the South Node, trine the North Node. And so these are just sweet energies of like ding, 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 and this is kind of like, we can do this, you guys. We can do this. Like, put your seatbelt on, And what I heard someone say, not too tight though, right? Because we don't know what's happening. And yet we're being called to be so present for what is happening. And so the sun and the moon for this a new moon are at 4 degrees, which is exactly it'll be coming into an exact conjunction. They will move right into exact, almost to Chiron's that will be at 5 degrees, black moon Lilith at 6 degrees Aries. And so those planets so close, the sun and the moon, a stellium there, the sun and the moon, Chiron, black moon Lilith, kind of lining up and speaking now also in square to the nodes of the moon, which would be at 4, moving to 3 degrees. And so it's like, this is this crossroads, you know, like there's no going back from here. And are you going to receive? See, the North Node in Cancer, it's only there for 3, it's at 3 degrees. It goes backwards, right? So there's only a few more degrees of the North Node in Cancer. And it's the end of next month, I believe, that it moves into Gemini. And so we're being asked to really receive the message of this North Node in Cancer, which is receive, 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 compassion, unconditional love, nurturing. This is what will move us forward. But in square to Chiron and black moon Lilith, it's our deepest wounds and the deepest, darkest, shadowy, secrety lies within us that we're hosting, as well as in the collective consciousness. And so that's the crossroads we're at right now. But see, the sun has moved into Aries. We're already feeling that shift at the equinox. And the moon joining for this new moon is like, you know, we've got all these little chimes going, and then we have this big bell of freedom ringing at this. So it's like, yes, it's a crossroads. Are we going to go into these higher vibrational frequencies? Are we going to move into the new age? Are we going to stand up for ourself, our true self? So Chiron and Aries, the wounds of Chiron and Aries are about whether or not it's okay for you to be who you really are and survive. Right? So it's about these souls that have been persecuted, killed for who you trying to bring your light to the earth again and again, being rejected, being persecuted, being hunted down, coming right back and doing it again, you know? And now Aries has this energy. It's ruled by Mars, so it's a warrior for the self. It's like, get up, stand up, break the chains, you know? Because Aries, it's in square to Capricorn, right? That's where the South Node is. So it's the square of the nodes. North Node, the way we move forward is nurturing. South Node, what's holding us back is the chains of authority, of where we said, okay, I'll roll over, not be who I am, just to survive, you know? This is this interesting axis of the Cancer Capricorn, because Cancer is the nurturing we need. And as humans, this is part of our condition. You know, like a horse gets born and it can walk right away, right? Humans are completely helpless, you know, for another 9 months. They really should be in the womb for another 9 months, in a way. And so we're dependent on our caretakers to keep us alive, right? And it doesn't just mean food and warmth, because they've shown that like babies who don't get attention and, you know, like a loving connection, human connection, don't thrive, right? And so we come in completely dependent on our caretakers. And that's where it's like, of course, you have to give your power away, which is the Capricorn energy of authority, you know? So it's like the father god, mother god authority energies that we've been dealing with in the Piscean age, where we just have to let these outside forces be in control of our survival. And then that brings us back to that Aries energy of like, do you have a right to survive? So the Aries, Chiron and Aries is these wounds of where you haven't been able to be who you were, maybe just a tiny sliver of who you are, you know, pretending to fit in this human life in order to stay alive. And it's like, you know, this is with this Mars, Jupiter, Pluto, breaking the chains of authority, where we've given our power away on all levels and standing up for the strength of ourself, of who we really are, and ready to stand in the light of who we really are and say, no more. because we've been battling these control energies that are actually responsible for a lot of the pain and trauma and destruction and disease that we've experienced over thousands of years. And we've been going up against this monster lifetime after lifetime, fighting the good fight and, you know, feeling like we lost and we failed, but that was only the battle. And now we get to win the war. And that's what's really going on. So this new moon in Aries with Chiron and the black moon Lilith, because it's like black moon Lilith represents the lies, the deceit, the dark things, evil happenings that have been happening on our planet. See, what the deal is that these forces have used very dark acts like cannibalism, satanic ritual abuse, pedophilia in order to hold the vibration down. And so until we face these truths and clear this BS out of our world, we can't raise our vibration, right? Like it's got to come up to the surface, and it's not fun to look at, and yet we've got to if we're going to move forward. So that's the Chiron black moon Lilith. So you can see the power of the sun and the moon in Aries breaking the chains, taking back our strength of self and our ability, that masculine energy. Mars is our inner masculine, right? And ability to stand up for what's right and good and true and protect ourselves. And maybe with this divine masculine activation, a different way of going about war and battle, taking back our spiritual power. And that's a lot what Pluto represents. It's about our psychic spiritual power of our consciousness and also the fear of that power. And then also the breakdown that needs to occur to come into our true power. And that's kind of like everything that's happening right now. So the other thing that's going on that's really sweet in the background is little old Venus is coming back into the play here. She has been having this massive activation starting back in November as she went over the galactic center with Jupiter and then had this crown experience. She was enthroned as the goddess, returned to her temple, purified as she went, had that moment in Aquarius in the center of the star pattern, and then moving through that experience of that initiation with Chiron and black moon Lilith. And so now she's in sextile to Neptune so Neptune in Pisces in sextile to Venus and Taurus. And so it's like these planets are now coming into the mix with another sweet sextile, another little chime, playing these beautiful chimes. This is about maybe those chimes are like tinkling bells. It's like, okay, so the storm is raging out there, but we've got these tinkling bells telling us that it's okay. And maybe those are plucking the strings of these timelines, bringing them into resonance with each other, you know? So it looks like shit's totally falling apart, but it's actually trying to come into resonance. And so we can do our part by coming into heart frequency resonance, earth frequency resonance. And like our role here is to feel joy and happy no matter what other people are feeling. It's kind of weird, right? Because it's like you feel guilty about it. It's like, whoa, these energies, wow. I feel like hope and light that I haven't felt in so long. Wait a minute, is that okay? You know, because there's all these other people that are freaking out right now. But it's like, haven't you had like the last 4, 5, 10, 20 years of like, you know, like holding all this energy of the collective. And now it's time to let them have their experience and you be where you need to be. Your destiny now is to be in the light and the joy and the expansion and the possibility. So these are the messages that we're being told right now. Now, Venus in Taurus, Venus rules Taurus, and it's about an energy of self-worth and self-value. And are you worthy? Sextile to Uranus, to Neptune in Pisces, this is about dreaming a new dream. You know, in Uranus and Taurus, sextile the North Node, that radical shift in our self-worth. And Venus coming into sextile with Neptune is like, ding, 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 like, oh. So it's that radical U-turn we've been talking about from going of feeling like completely unworthy and like broken, traumatized, kicked out of this planet again and again, and yet coming back to face the music, and now being like, whoa, oh, what if your life goes from a pile of crap to a bucket of blessings? Can you receive that? You know, can you let that shift happen? To be all of a sudden, all these things that seem to be working against you in your path, holding and supporting you through like magical synchronicities and spiritual revelation. I mean, the lining up of these planets is just so profound. And we need to pay attention to this and hear the messages of like, hey, you guys, no, don't watch the movie. Get into the dream and the spiritual revelation. Because there's a movie playing out in the lower paradigm. Put your attention on the dream. And the dream requires that shift in your self-worth of knowing you deserve the blessings. And you do. I mean, actually, we all do, just by existence, right? But these particular souls have been so beaten down in past lives that they kind of are like just kind of limping through this reality. And can you come into that spiritual psychic power of who you really are and receive the support you need to step into your true role? Now, we don't know what those are, right? We will, as this year continues and into the next couple of years, you know, more and more clarity about our specific role and what that looks like, the package of our gifts. Right now, it's just about being opening to receive that we actually have these gifts, right? So don't worry too much about, you know, it's not a time. It's time to sit tight and be present in the moment and not plan for the future. This message coming in and again. It's like everything you thought you might go and do might not fit who you're becoming because you're changing moment to moment. I mean, think back to a week ago. Can you even remember who you were and how you felt then? You know, so we've got to just be right here in that still point place and let this radical shift happen in our world. And it's like we don't know, we can't plan for the future. We don't know what we're doing because we don't know who we are. And that will all come, right? But now energetically, we're remembering who we are and doing what we're here to do and holding space for the light and for the spiritual ascension and remembering that we've gone through this before and it's okay. And it's actually really exciting. See, the programming says that the spiritual ascension energies are dangerous, that our body will die, the people around us could be hurt, that the earth has to die and have catastrophe. And those are all lies. Very deliberate programming to keep us from these energies. And there's no negative to these energies. They're beautiful and expansive and spiritual, just wow, you know, the light just coming in, spiritual revelation. That's that Venus sextile Neptune. These energies are dangerous to one thing, the lower matrix and the control energies. They don't want them because they can't stay on the planet as we move into these higher frequencies. It's game over for them. We're just shifting. So we got to allow the shift and let it happen and be present with that present moment and present with light. So thank you so much gratitude coming in from the higher forces out there, beneficial energies, our highest selves and the energies of the universe supporting us in this journey that have been watching from afar, wishing they could come help us and having us just flail around until we got to the point where we could receive. And here we are. Now we can receive the support and just this like, oh, so much, this wave of just powerful, bringing tears, gratitude for what you've gone through and put up with to be here right now. And thank you for your persistence. Maybe it'll all pay off. Maybe it's all worth it in the end. And this isn't the end. This is the beginning. So let's be in that energy together and connect together. And I look forward, maybe you can join the live activation for this new moon in Aries. That's going to be exactly 12 hours before the exact new moon. And if it doesn't work in your time zone, you can just catch the replay. The energy will be encoded. And if you can't make it at all, you can still be included in the energy by your intention. So thank you so much for being here. And I look forward to seeing you soon at that new moon activation or the next update. Until then, I'm Adrienne Elise. Namaste.